Can you solo kill a Matriarch on a free loadout? Yes, but only if you abuse one weird method. It's still extremely difficult, and I'm not saying you will clean solo at every raid, but with this method you can consistently do more damage than most players on expensive loadouts, and in a rat heavy Matriarch raid that matters a lot. In my last run I did 3835 damage with the Raider's tool alone, according to the journey tab after extraction. That gave me 7670 XP from arc damage. Then I added another 980 damage with my Ferro for 4815 total damage and 9630 XP. That is more damage than most players in expensive kits do in a Matriarch raid. So here's the method. With a free loadout, your best chance to do serious damage is to get on the Matriarch and hit it with your Raider's tool. You can do that in two ways. If your free loadout gives you a zip line, you can place it so you zip up and jump off at the right moment onto Matriarch's belly base plate. The second method, which is the one I use most of the time, is to find terrain where the Matriarch's belly base plate is low enough to climb onto. Spaceport is the map for this. You can climb from pipes, from the concrete tunnel entrance, from the concrete build-up near the launch tower, and in some places even sand hills are enough to let you climb onto the belly. Once you're on the belly, move up to the spot where the legs meet the base plate. Some players call this the Matriarch safe pocket, or the gooch. Whatever you call it, this is the easiest place to get to and usually the safest. From there, just keep hitting the Matriarch with your Raider's tool. Each swing does around 35 to 30 damage, and because you can swing quickly, this adds up way faster than most free loadout guns. The Matriarch usually cannot hit you there, also sometimes it will squeeze you and do a little damage. That part is not the real problem. The real problem is the Bastion it spawns. In general, I try not to climb up there while the Bastion is still alive. If you really want to risk it, you can sometimes slide under the Bastion and melee it too. But with Rocketeers and Matriarch shooting around, I would only do that if the Bastion is already heavily damaged, otherwise it takes too long and it is too risky. The second problem is that the pocket is not as consistent as it used to be. A few months ago you could stay there forever. Now, sooner or later, the Matriarch usually squeezes you and glitches you back to the ground. In the last few weeks I climbed into the pocket more than 20 times and I have never managed to stay there for longer than about 5 minutes. But those 5 minutes are enough to do huge damage. Again, in my last run I did 3835 melee damage with the Raider's tool, plus 980 with the Ferro, for 4815 total. And that is exactly why this method is worth knowing. On a free loadout, doing 4,000 to 5,000 damage to a Matriarch is already an enormous result. Now let me explain you why you really want to use the Raider's tool. The biggest problem with a free loadout guns is ammo. Let's say you get a Rattler with 80 bullets. One Rattler shot does 9 damage. That is 720 total damage if every bullet lands. And that is not even 20% of what I did with the Raider's tool. The Ferro has the highest damage potential of a free loadout gun because 40 bullets at 40 damage each gives you 1600 damage. Yes, you can loot caches or arc husk for more ammo, and yes, you can sometimes hit the core for 50% extra damage, but even then it still does not compare to the pocket melee method. If you do want to shoot the Matriarch, the easiest spot is on the second floor of Control Tower A6 building. From behind the drywall you can shoot safely while the drywall absorbs the Matriarch rockets. Between rocket volleys you can even get 2 shots into the core. If the shield is up, you have to wait for it to drop. You can also go down and sometimes shoot the core from inside the shield, but ground level is much riskier because the Matriarch can rush you and the arc it spawns can kill you too. You can also try to use the nades you got in your free loadout or looted fireball burners, but again the damage is not that impressive. So if your goal is pure free loadout efficiency, it often makes more sense to either use the pocket method for damage and XP or just strip leg armor and take the leg loot instead of dreaming about a clean Matriarch kill. Now, what if you actually want to go for a full solo kill on a free loadout? That is where the pocket method may not be enough by itself, especially now that players often spawn later into the raid than they used to. In my opinion, if you want the true solo kill, you need core damage for that extra 50%. There are basically two ways to push beyond the safe pocket method. The first is to climb onto the leg and then onto the top of the Matriarch. If you can break the top cover, you can melee the core directly and hope you do not get shaken off. This is possible, but it takes luck. The second method is to glitch into the core from the safe pocket spot. A while ago this was much easier, now it's far less consistent. You can still get inside the core, but it happens much less often than before. That said, if you are attempting a full free loadout Matriarch challenge in a raid where nobody else is helping, this is probably still your best shot at getting it done. So if you remember one thing from this guide, make it this. On a free loadout, your best Matriarch damage method is not your gun, it's getting onto the Matriarch, climbing into the safe pocket and farming damage with the Raider's tool. Even if you do not get a full solo kill, you can still walk out with 4,000 to 5,000 damage and close to 10,000 XP, which is already more than most players contribute with expensive kits.